Crusader Kings 3 is a game where you can take on many different leaders of kingdoms, empires, duchies, and even counties. Whether you start in 867 or 1066, you have your choice of rulers from the Eastern world, with the exception of places like China and Japan. But there's also another option. You can go ahead and create your own ruler. And this comes with some limitations, where you can't quite make a character that ends up as amazing as Alfred the Great without, say, losing the ability to have achievements on because the character you've created is crazy, but you do have a lot of freedom. So let's say you wanted to play as Italy and reform the Roman Empire, you totally could, as a Roman. As you see, Italy does start out at war in this setting, and if you change your character enough, you can actually completely avoid certain wars at the start just because you've changed the character, and the wars are usually tied to characters. If we click on Create a Ruler, it will immediately start letting us create one for whatever country we choose, in this case, Italy, and we get something kind of fitting for what we start with. It defaults usually to a 25-year-old with 133 customization points spent of the relevant culture and faith of the region you are going, keeping the same dynasty and realm. But you can change all of this. The first thing that I would do, of course, is decide you playing a guy, you playing a girl, and they have many different sexuality options, most of which would really not matter in this time period, so I don't know why they added them, but welcome to modern Crusader Kings. You could type in your first name, such as Guide Maker. This is my first name. I am Guide Maker. For the last name, we would have to actually customize our dynasty. So if I wanted to be Guide Maker Extra Ordinaire, and I make the guides. That's the motto of this family. There you go. I am King Guide Maker Extraordinaire of the Kingdom of Italy. I can do even more. This is mostly cosmetic stuff, but you can design a custom coat of arms or adjust existing designs with different emblems and colors and patterns. It is really up to you. You can do the same thing with your realm title, even being able to reset it to its historical nature if you so choose. So if I wanted to call this Real Rome and adjective is your betters, then I could do that. I could make it red and even adjust the template here. Put this, I know they have like a bird somewhere, but let's just say we put like this right here just so you can see that it's different. And if I want to, I can also reset that to historical, just like that, and go back and make changes as much as I wish. As for making the character proper instead of just the things above it, you can always randomize the names based on the culture and the faith that you have picked. You can choose between pretty much any faith and culture in the game, including ones that really don't even exist. So let's say I want to be Catholic, but I want to be Roman. Then I'd pick Latin here, and you'd see all the Latin cultures. In the Latin culture group, I can pick Roman, which is an interesting one to pick at a start. It starts with more traditions than slots for traditions, which creates quite an unbalanced thing where you can't change any without deleting one and getting nothing back until you progress in the tech. This is an unfortunate design choice, not even a bug, that I doubt that they'll ever fix. I can randomize Roman names, Publius, Fabius, Gallienus, Rufinus, and it'll come up with all of these for me. That's the left side. Looking at the right side, and this is where a lot of the stuff happens here, your customization points. Basically, the more good things you do, from what the game thinks is good anyway, you will earn customization points, or spend them more accurately. But as you spend them, the number goes up. So I will refer to it as earning them. The limit for achievements is 400. So if I go above 400 customization points, then I will no longer be able to get achievements in this playthrough. So, for example, 25 is what the game sees as a pretty good point to have your age, as you see here. 24, 26, 27, 28. Etc. If I go below 24 or above 28, then it starts to detract these points because it thinks I'm giving myself some kind of a disadvantage, which can be incredibly useful if you want to play the earliest age of what this game considers to be an adult and unlocks adult mechanics. You can make a 16-year-old so that you get all this extra time to get married to someone that you want, have kids that maybe you have more leeway with, and just accomplish more on this self-designed character. You could go even further and make a child starting from literal scratch. This looks like a fucking alien. Starting from literal scratch if you want to get those extra customization points, or just want to play a child for whatever reason. A child ruler, by the way, because up to this point, you cannot play anything that is not a ruler in this game. But let's say we wanted a 16-year-old. We could also change the weight. This mostly just affects appearance, which, by the way, you could just go into change appearance and then completely customize. It's all cosmetic, so I'll let you explore that on your own. Next, we have our traits. These are things that are usually earned through gameplay, a lot of which you don't usually have control over because your kids are the ones getting them and you are just the parent that doesn't necessarily have control. First off, I can choose my education. I would like to be a diplomacy-focused character. And so if I pick just the normal base level 0 education, the worst one, it doesn't cost me any customization points. But if I want to work up to the max, that's 150 total customization points. That's a lot of my achievements. Then there are personality traits that I could throw in there. These are usually earned through childhood, such as, say, gregarious, for example. They let you amass quite an amount of these, even though usually a child in this game will only earn about 3 of them. I, for example, can just keep throwing them in there if I so chose. But we're not going to do that. Let's say he's gregarious. There's also other traits that you can acquire, some of which are things that you maybe could have earned anyway, and some of which are especially different. For example, military traits that gives advantages. Also traits like traveler, which you can unlock by just, traveling. You can also get things like born in the purple to increase your initial legitimacy, give you prestige, make short range duration a little bit better, but your kids won't necessarily inherit this. For example, I believe all leaders of the Byzantine Empire or born to them are born in the purple, so that's a way to get and keep this trait. You could also be born a murderer so that everyone hates you. This would reduce customization points, and there are personality traits with a negative value as well that the game considers bad and can be used to subtract customization points for any roleplay purposes or purposes of staying within the achievement's limit that you so choose. Underneath that are your skills. If you hit minus on all of them, you can get the base value that your character will have based on the traits, personality, education, and otherwise that you picked above. Due to having this trait and this education, these are the minimum stats that I can really have, but I can put customization points into this. It starts out pretty lenient, taking only 2 customization points per, then it jumps up to 4, and then something to like 7 or 9, so you have to count to keep an eye on that if you want. This means that it can be sometimes more efficient to just get things like these points and other things from these different traits if they're not too expensive, for example. It's also good to pick up things that might be virtuous to whatever religion you have picked as well. Even things like health boosts can be found here and among the other traits. But I could also just assign points manually, looking at how much everything costs and finding that break-even point. See there, it went from 4 to 7 points required. That's only for that stat, mind you. If I go into another stat, it's a brand new counter, and I can kind of find this point where it sort of breaks even, which may be, it seems roughly about 8 in, that we start experiencing these effects right here. Without any excessive increases, these were as high as I could get all of my stats. It was a little bit different per stat, honestly. So, and that leaves me with about 32 points that I can spend. Hilariously, you can do things like grant the Sayyid here an inheritable blood of the prophet trait for Muslims, and you can grant that to a Catholic character. There you go. We've now made a character. Is it the best of characters? No, but it's a character, and it works. I can even toss 1 extra point into something. We have reached 400 points. As you see, if I go over, then achievements are no longer available. I can also start the character out married to someone of the same culture and faith. And if I made him a little bit older than this, I'd be able to add sons and daughters. Though I don't really recommend doing this because you can't customize that character, and they tend to come out pretty darn generic and not necessarily worth the effort, if you ask me. When you do finalize, you can go ahead and submit. And now you see here we have the King Rufinus of Italy. And there's no player heir, but we've changed him so much that the war that was here originally is pretty much just gone. You can also save and load characters that you have already made while still in the character creator. For this guy, it's too late. I would have had to save it before, but I didn't intend to save it anyway, because I'm just here to show it off. And then when you go ahead and you hit start, you see you'll load in as your character, just as you made him. He has the traits we wanted him to have, which is a very weird, unholy mixture of things, due to him being of a completely different a lot of things. You know, the war Italy starts out with isn't so relevant. However, do be careful while doing this, because while we made a Roman, absolutely nothing here is Roman. So customize away, but do take into account what difficulties you might be giving yourself as you do this. That is how the character creator works, though, and that is generally what you can do with it. You can get real exploity with it, and you can even go well above if you don't care about achievements, just for whatever fun that you want. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, this guide. I have a playlist that I will be filling up with guides. Let me know in the comments below if you want any guides about any other topics that I haven't gotten to already. For now, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.